Jennifer, I was thinking about when you and I were talking offline about like
Mhm.
beauty being on a spectrum and
Yes.
fitness, health, and wellness. I feel like that's something I haven't heard that much before. But so I want to talk a little bit about, or have you discuss a little bit about how you see that and your work and the unique nature of your work on that spectrum.
So I obviously had gotten into cosmetology and beauty before fitness. And in my own fitness journey, I realized that a lot of times when we're not feeling the best, either about ourselves or within ourselves, we tend to change our hair. We want to put on new makeup, buy new clothing, whatever we need to do to make ourselves feel better. But by incorporating fitness is really the foundation of that feeling of being beautiful or being your best self. And by embracing that journey as well, if you start with that healthy, fit foundation, anything that you do in a beauty salon or a tattoo parlor or anything like that, it's really just kind of icing on the cake, so to speak, because when you feel healthy, you're gonna feel good no matter what is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
you talked about too, like body modification. And I thought that
yes.
was really interesting. Obviously, like fitness is body modification, but maybe people aren't linking together that whether whatever you're doing with your hair, I'm doing with mine, whatever what we tattoos, piercings, these are all part of the larger body modification. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when we say the words body modification, you automatically go to tattoos and piercings. That's because that is what it's been coined as for a really long time. But when we go to a gym, we are modifying our body. That's what we're doing. So that just comes right back around to fitness really being the basis of the entire beauty and body modification industry. And I think that it just makes sense to link everything together.
I think so too. And that body modification is not just an external thing. It's also
No.
what's happening internally that a lot of people just don't think about the body modification that's happening inside of your body when you're exercising or being physically active. So it feels like it's both internal and external process.
I agree. Especially in my case, where many of my clients are like myself, bariatric patients, both post bariatric and pre. And when we come across others that are in that pre bariatric surgery state, no matter what their starting weight is, no matter what their story is, we all have in common this feeling of defeat and inadequacy and just hopelessness at that stage. So it's really my job to work people through where they are and keep them focused on where they can be. And so some of the work that I do, a lot of it is very little physical training and a lot more mindset training where we kind of work through whatever hindrances they have. And it's nice to be able to start from the very beginning with people where I've met you where you are and we have an understanding and I really get to know who you are as a person. So I can be with you every step of the way, at least as long as you want me there. And it's probably the coolest thing I've ever experienced.
And for you, I think what's really unique is that you have the ability, you could work with someone as their trainer. And then if they
Mhm.
want to get their hair done, you can do their hair. If they want
Yeah.
to get a tattoo, you can do their tattoo. Talk
Yeah.
about like the unique circle you create with this kind of multifactorial or multifaceted skill set you have.
I think so. A couple of my favorite clients have become friends, of course, as happens. I met these two ladies about 4 years ago. They had come in, they are best friends, and they had come in for tattoo work. And we got talking. And one of the women, we'll call her Sally, she had mentioned that she really wanted this great big thigh tattoo, but she hated her body. which triggers me. I'm not going to lie. I hate to hear people say that they hate themselves in any capacity. So that actually sparked a conversation about fitness and diet and different things that a person can do to change those feelings about themselves. And we ended up, the three of us, working through some of their different barriers. We met at the gym. We just started out as gym buddies. And so within this 4 years, every time I come home to Cheyenne, we have Taco Tattoos Day. It's always on a Tuesday. And we bring bariatric friendly tacos. And so we have tacos, we do little tattoos, and we talk about their journey and my journey. Sally has since had bariatric surgery, and her friend Meg has lost her own. I think she's down 75 pounds just on her own, which is freaking amazing. But it's nice to know that I was part of that. It's so cool. So now we go to the gym, we do trainings together, we do tattoos together. Last time I was home, we did facials in my salon, we did new hair. It was awesome. I got to do Meg's hair for her wedding. It
How
was
cool is
cool.
that? To be able
It's
to
the
offer a bunch of services that you can yourself you don't have to refer those out. Those can be
no,
done by you, and it makes me think the future of our industry in fitness is a much more holistic version of a health and being professional, that maybe they're not a tattoo artist, which would be cool, but
mhm,
maybe they're encompassing a lot of other specialties underneath this larger umbrella, because we have the ear and eyes of people in their most vulnerable state. So why
yes.
can't we be those people for them as well? You know?
I feel like I am so blessed because I can do all of these different things and I have the trust of my clients. That's huge. And nothing feels better than being able to step in and give the right advice and the right guidance and see these people blossom and really truly be happy with themselves, like all the way through. Not just because, oh, my hair looks great. Because I know being a woman who has, because I've lost 150 pounds. Yeah, 8 years ago, I had bariatric surgery, best decision ever. But going through that feeling of not liking yourself, that's hard. And I think that all of us can say at one point or another, we've looked in the mirror and said, ugh, why? But it's definitely a journey. And I know that sometimes when you're trying to make big changes, small rewards are really important, whether that is a haircut or a facial or a small tattoo or even a new piercing. Like those small rewards can make all the difference. And if you have a trusted person that's with you through the whole thing, that's even better. So I remember my first personal trainer, I wanted to do a pull up. I'd never been able to do a pull up before in my dang life. And finally, I did my own unassisted pull up and he brought me a pudding cup. It was like the best pudding cup I've ever had in my life. So here you go, chocolate pudding.
That's
It may
amazing.
seem silly, but it was awesome.
No, it seems like your story, when
Yeah.
which is a wonderful story, and just makes me think like I'm looking at you and then I see myself in this camera, and we have certainly altered our appearance and our
Oh,
hair.
yes.
And what is that about, you think? Like, how can we link that to our health, fitness, and wellness and beauty? What is that about humans altering their appearance?
I think that all of us have this very unique need inside of us to just blossom outward. And it looks completely different for every individual person. Like right now, like you can't see it because I'm growing my hair out, but the entire side of my head is a tattoo. This whole side. But I got tired of wearing my hair the same way. I feel like once we have found that confidence in ourselves, and which fitness really does give us that self confidence, like we know that our bodies can do hard things. We know that we're healthy. We have developed a specific type of self love where we know that we're going to take care of ourselves. I think that allows us to really reach deep inside and say, okay, who am I and how do I want other people in this world to see me? How do I want to really present myself to you, the world? I know for me, it's loud hair, crazy clothes, goofy tattoos, just, oh, shock factor. Jen's crazy, but it makes me fun. But it's also a very genuine part of who I am inside. And I love to be able to help people bring that part of themselves out because I know when I first met you before, I love the blonde. I love it. That is just so uniquely you.
Thank
It's
you.
great. But yeah, I love when people can embrace their quirky weirdness. It's what makes us awesome.
I agree
Yeah, and
with
it could
that.
look really mundane to one person and it could look absolutely insane to another person. But I think it's all wonderful. It's all great.
I'm the same way. I think I wasn't always that way, primarily because I grew up in a military family and I had to have a very low haircut, had to be really tight. And it didn't bother me. It was fine. But as I became older, I realized I wanted to express myself artistically with
Yes.
my body and my hair. And I remember the moment I wanted to have this big blonde. I remember nothing would like, it's not like I was inspired by a painting or someone. I literally just woke up one day. I was like, I need to have blonde hair. Like, I feel like I need to have a big blonde. I started small and it spread out. And I said, it just feels like who I am. Like, it
Mhm.
feels like me. And the crazy thing is, I've been married for 20 years, to my wife, and for probably 15 of those years, I had a bald head, no hair. And when all this came together, she goes, "This feels like it's you, actually." And she had known
Yeah.
me as this other looking version of myself, but it was immediately like, "This just seems more like who you want to be." So I resonate with
Yes.
what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great when you finally find that channel and you're like, oh yeah, this feels correct. This feels right. Like I actually look really natural for me today. Like normally my hair is like lime green and I'm looking all crazy and fun, but got to keep the hair healthy.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing, and I think that link on some way, people are looking at fitness as that as well. As how
Yes.
do I start feeling good inside my body? Because I hear that a lot too. I don't like how I feel in my body, people will say. Like you want it beyond the most of the people I work with, they're not looking for peak performance. They're looking for peak feeling inside.
Thank you.
How do
Yes.
I feel good about me being inside of this skin of mine? And I think a lot the big mistake we make in fitness is shooting for the peak fitness part. That's a
Yes.
very small segment of the population. Most people just want to feel better about themselves. Yeah.
100%. I think, and especially for me, because generally speaking, my demographic that I generally work with are folks who have a very hard time moving around because they are so much larger. And coming from that myself, like my highest weight was 325 pounds. It's very daunting. You're out of breath. Everything hurts. Nothing feels good. And there are a lot of other mental factors that go along with someone becoming that large or larger. And that is for the psychologists, honestly. But I can tell you, having someone in your corner that can understand how hard it can be just to walk down to get your mail every day and walk back without judging you, that is what's scary for most of my clients. Number one, you're not going to get them into a gym. That's not going to happen. They are scared to death of gyms, and I don't blame them because ridicule happens all the time. Like I've said before, I get fat trainer comments all the time, which I just lean right into because, yeah, what are you going to do? And usually I use it as a challenge. Okay, then you won't mind taking my aerobics class. It can't be that hard, right? And then when they come in, it's a lot harder than they think, but it's a good thing. But I remember like my first job was at YMCA in Duluth, Minnesota. And my boss and we got a new program. We were calling it the Walk for Life. program, and it was meant for folks who were much bigger, like in that 300 to 500-pound range, because they had an amazing walking track and it was upstairs and you could take an elevator to get it. So it was wheelchair accessible. So the focus was to get folks in a group and we would work on just functional mobility wherever you were. If you were in a wheelchair, you can still move. You're still going to get that heart rate up. There are still ways for you to make a start and start to feel better. And they're still running the program, which makes me feel really good. But it was also an eye-opening experience too. Luckily for me, I had never gotten to the point where I couldn't move very well. There's so many feelings when you can help people start from there. So
Yeah.
that's really fun.
Sounds like you're a part of very significant and meaningful and emotional experiences.
Yes.
And but when I first met you and we were in part of the pilot program for the mentorship program, which just launched, pretty pumped about it. And you said the different things that you do. I was immediately struck by that because I just had never heard of anyone in our business. And maybe the people listen, maybe there's others like you out here who are tattoo artists and who are, do hair, cosmetology. But what a gift to be able to give someone all these things because how
Oh,
important
yeah.
is people's hair to them?
Oh
Incredibly.
my goodness.
You fight someone over someone's hair.
Yes,
It's
you will.
guys are
Yes, you
trying to
will.
get their hair back all the time. Get that
Yes.
hair back.
Right now,
Give me that hair, the balding, male pattern baldness. Man, guys will fight, do anything to get that hair back, you
they
know?
will. Yep. And then too, that's another amazing part of connecting cosmetology to fitness, because when you are a bariatric patient, you will lose your hair. I've lost half of my hair because of how the surgery works. Hair loss is to be expected. And so not only are they fighting through all of the different parts of the weight loss journey, now their hair's falling out. And it's amazing when your trainer or your coach can say, "Don't worry, it'll grow back. Here's how. Don't worry, this is going to be okay." Because it just takes that stress off. And yeah, it, it's really rewarding. I'm not going to lie. This is probably, I never thought that I would be in this position to do all of these different things and help so many different people. It just makes my day.
That's amazing. I wanna briefly just go into the tattoo part, especially like that, but I love to have several tattoos, I'm all into it. I wonder what you feel the link is between tattooing and fitness and how similar that is, more than people think, I think, in altering themselves.
Honestly, yes. So when you were talking about peak performance,
Mhm.
tattoos are a huge part of that, just in general. So I notice that when I have clients who are hitting their goals and their body is starting to look much better to them, how they want to look, they are more likely to want to go out there and decorate it. It's like picking the perfect Christmas tree and putting the perfect light setup on it. You know what I'm saying? Tattoos will give you a sense of confidence just like fitness will. And then when you combine the two things, like you have this incredible feeling of being at your absolute best. And it's really indescribable. I know this from personal experience because like I had a lot of really terrible tattoo work done when I was young. And that's the folly of becoming an apprentice, because back in the day, you didn't have a lot of choices. Your mentor was going to tattoo you whether you liked it or not. So I've gone through a lot of different alterations, and part of my specialty is cover up tattoos. So I do a lot of cover up work all the time on myself as well. Like my entire arm, like this is all
Yeah.
black out and different designs to cover some of the things that were done before. But this arm used to be big, like big. And now that I am in a place where I can appreciate my own physique much better, it just opened up my mind creatively. You know what? This looks so good. It would look so much better if there was a phoenix right there, or whatever trips your trigger. It it is a good feeling. It's just part of the whole. It's really hard to describe because it is just an intrinsic feeling like, yeah, I look amazing. I'm going to go decorate this amazing body that I just worked so hard for.
Yeah. I love that. And I think like maybe people who are detractors of it may say this is a permanent thing or whatever, it's something. But it's also, and there are times when people are younger and have things they don't actually want, whatever. But I know for me
Right.
and a lot of people I know have tattoos, this is very intentional. They want the permanence because
Yes.
it is a permanent identification of self that this is actually what I wanted to become. And
Yes.
this was part of that becoming. And I think future tattoos I get or anybody gets is part of that becoming process for
Oh,
yourself.
absolutely. And I love that you brought up the topic of permanence because I know a lot of weight loss patients, myself included, we have a hard time trusting ourselves not to fall back into bad habits. That's just part of our journey. And tattoos can be used as a form of commitment. Like, I am actually going to be going and getting my armpit and my inner arm tattooed this summer. And that is a huge commitment because if I were to revert back in any way, it would actually ruin the tattoo that I'm planning on getting. Any anything like that. So it's like a commitment to yourself and a commitment to your newfound sense of self. No, we are here. We've overcome this. We're here now. We're going to mark this. We're committed. And it's awesome. Yeah,
I mean,
it
you're
really does
blowing my
talk.
mind. You're literally blowing my mind, Jennifer. I mean, this is why I wanted to talk to you because I just think your perspective is unique. You are wearing who you are on the outside of your body while you're transforming the inside as well. And this actually been one of my favorite conversations because it's so different. It's so unique and it's so honest for that. So I really appreciate you coming on to just give some of your time and I want to make sure a lot of people get this so they can see there's different angles to this fitness thing
Absolutely.
that have nothing to do with what you've been told it is. And it
Yes.
goes much deeper, skin deep. It's deeper than the skin as well.
Yep. All the
So
way to the core.
all the way to the core and back. So please tell the audience how they could just learn more about you. Any links, anything like that, we'll put in the show notes. But obviously, like just anything you want to say, way people can contact you.
Honestly, the best way to get a hold of me is just pop onto my Instagram. It shows a little bit of everything that I do. I am always open for any advice. You can bounce ideas off of me. You can ask me questions. I'm extremely transparent because I feel that's very necessary. It's part of meeting people where they are, saying, hey, I understand, and being able to actually understand. I do think that it's extremely important for folks to, and no matter where you are. Now, this is for everyone. I don't care if you need to lose 10 pounds or if you want to gain in bulk. I don't care what your goal is. You are always surrounded by people who are here to help you. Whether it's me, whether it's you, Dr. Parker, anyone in this industry, truly, there are always people here to support. And even if your idea seems like completely off the wall, trust me, it's not. You're not crazy.
Love that.
You're just you're a normal human being. Come be a normal human being and, be loud and be authentically yourself. You're never alone when you're honest.
I love
So,
that. And I haven't thought about my next tattoo, but when I do get my inspiration for that, I have to contact you because I'm just an hour away from Cheyenne. When you're
yes,
around, and you might have to be my next tattoo artist to do something.
I'm coming down to work in my shop in March.
Okay, I have to think about it
Be there.
at some point. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I
You're welcome.
appreciate you.
Thank you for seeing me. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.